Hello, everyone who's joining. I think we will give like a 2-3 minutes to join everyone into the room, and then we'll start our meeting. And I will do the short intro, and then we can begin the broadcasting and sharing the great experience with you guys. So, hello everyone. I think that we can begin. Today we do the broadcast in Zoom and also in LinkedIn. So partially we see people join our Zoom, and we're welcome to join if you have a link, or do not hesitate to watch on us in LinkedIn. And today for us is quite special event. It's collaboration between two companies, DashDevs and ff.next. And I would like to introduce today for the audience, Ivan and Ferenc. They will do the presentation for the design part, and DashDevs, myself, Igor Tomic, and Dennis Trush, who will do the technical part. And I can pass the words to the guys. We will have 2 hour session. 1 hour will be dedicated to design, and then we will dive deep into the technology. So thank you for joining. Let's begin.
Thank you so much, Igor. We are quite excited to be here, and we are really happy to also right away dive into our presentation. I'm joined here by my actually twin brother, Ferenc, who's also our head of design and co-founder at ff.next. And yeah, today we are really happy to show you many case studies in previous engagements. And yeah, we are super happy to walk you through how we actually design digital solutions in the fintech space.
Yep. Just a short introduction. I'm Ferenc, co-founder and head of design of ff.next. I started my career as a visual designer, but I was also majoring business. Maybe that's why I'm mostly designing fintech products, because it's really a business-focused domain. And I think it's a very rare opportunity to have a webinar with the delivery partner. It's always very interesting to gain insights from also the design, but from the development part as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's quite interesting to mention that we've met at Money 2020 Europe together with DashDevs. So it's quite an international collaboration that we have. And yeah, quite excited to show you both sides of the coin, how we design and how DashDev delivers cutting-edge solutions. So let's get to it, I would say. And first and foremost, we prepared you a short introduction on ff.next, just to kind of give you a context where we come from. Just to summarize what we actually do at ff.next, we are a digital product development company. Mostly we focus on UX, UI design, as well as front-end engineering. We create, design and deliver mobile apps, web apps, websites, and we'll also show you what sorts of services we also offer. And we are quite active in more than 20 countries. We are quite proud of that fact as well. And on the upcoming slides, we'll also dive into more detail as well. You can see a great map that we also wanted to highlight, visualize, that we from Australia through the DACH region to the US. We have been engaged in quite exciting projects. We also have currently a particular focus on Australia, for example. However, we are actually based in Budapest, Hungary, and we have our whole team working from this location. And as you can see on the upcoming slide, from research through design, we cover all digital design related topics, UX research, UX audits, and when it comes to design, really anything that comes to your mind regarding digital design. Of course, UX UI design of web apps, mobile apps, and websites, but also industrial design, marketing materials, and anything that's related to it.
Yep. And also, in my view, it's really interesting how design could bring value into an organization through digital transformation. Because the first thing which would come to your mind, digital transformation that should do something with technology, right? Core systems, legacy systems, backend innovation. But it's really interesting to see how design, and not just UX UI per se, could improve banks or fintechs' digital presence and how transformative it could be.
Exactly, and also as we've mentioned, we have a particular focus on the fintech industry, and also myself, I've been working as a fintech analyst before co-founding ff.next, and that's why we also have a particular focus on youth banking and family banking, and also in the upcoming slides we can also share with you. We wanted to show you that we have certain domain knowledge also in this space, so we also are really, really happy in case we have engagements where we can also focus on younger customers as well. We have also our own products in the youth banking space, and we quite like engaging in UX UI design, focusing on teenagers, but even really young children between 5 to 12-year-old. This is also a space that we really like serving. And it's definitely a slide and topic related to friends.
Yeah. I wanted to mention my side project, UI Academy, because I also teach design for basically anyone. We had lawyers, sales managers, marketers in our cohorts, but also with ff.next, we sometimes educate clients. And in the upcoming slides, I try to bring many visual metaphors, how those rigid sounded design concepts such as a UX audit or a UI facelift could be. So we usually try to be inclusive with the design and to include everyone on the table. And we really like to collaborate. And with this educational part, I think that's the right way to do. And this teaching how to design is really transformative, and we just love to do it with clients as well. It's really a success when a banking manager can jump into the design and do some changes. So usually we are not the design team who designs it in a committee or in a room. I usually like to collaborate also with the business side, but more importantly with the technology partners as well.
Exactly, and then right now we are getting to already the kind of professional part, so that's kind of the end of the intro into ff.next. So as you could see, we are a quite diversified digital design player, also in the fintech space, and we brought to you many exciting topics. We try to kind of cover the whole end-to-end digital product design life cycle, as we could also call it. From UX, we wanted to also give you some really exciting topics like a UX audit, how it can be like a treasure hunt. So that's also one of our topics, and we quite like delivering UX audits. We've been engaged in many UX audits in the past, and this is kind of a really nice decision-making tool also for potential projects for banking and even insurer partners. And maybe Ferenc can also summarize the other topics that we also brought to you, and then I'll be actually the one talking about the engagements themselves, and also Ferenc is going to share the professional part of it. Since I am actually not a designer, I'm just kind of here on the business side, and Ferenc going to show you the professional expert knowledge here.
Yeah, but sometimes Ivan is also designing stuff in Figma, so he's improving a lot. But yeah, we have very nice case studies. The second one is the elephant in the room. We combined physical, industrial design, and also digital design to have a nice value proposition for the use segment. In the third topic, we want to highlight how branding can transform a business. It's a Singapore-based case study of ours, and we helped a business look more friendly and attract a much larger customer base. We also have the classic UX UI case study, because sometimes design is mainly just redesigning a legacy offline process and turn it into a digital to like save some time for the users. So sometimes it's just that easy. Yeah, so let's dive into the case studies, I would say.
Yeah, our first case study is focusing on one of our quite, like I would say, most exciting engagements. That was also one of our quickest and most efficient ones. We've been working together with a Bulgarian bank, which is among the top 5 Bulgarian banks. And we were engaged together with a leading card schemes advisory arm to really focus on how we could redesign the whole mobile banking app, including also their internet banking channel. We had around 2 months. That's definitely not too much. However, we managed to actually come up with a tangible outcome, a really tangible outcome, because after these 2 months already the delivery team could jump on the project and implement the solution. And that's actually quite interesting to see also the dynamic that we step in as a design player, where we are not the ones actually coming up with the business concept. The business concept was already there. So we already had a great amount of stakeholder buy-in as well. So what we needed to do is what we are, I would say, the best at: crafting UI design, of course, including UX elements as well, and then coming up with something really, really quickly.
Yeah, this was the final outcome. And also, since I think many banking professionals are in the call, it's really important to talk about the method itself. So what is a UX audit? Sometimes if you have a robust system, a web app, or even a landing page, or even just a mobile app, it's really important to conduct UX audit, because it's really easy method for identifying the quick fixes. It's basically just inviting an expert to review your application, talk with users, and you can instantly see some improvement areas in the design. Sometimes we use different heuristics to conduct such an audit, such as how accessible is your product, if the contrasts are right or not, how many clicks do I need to reach the top 5 functions. And UX audit is really a continuous process. So I see many large organizations struggling with UX. I think sometimes it's really just the best practice to invite someone from the outside to have a quick look on what you're currently building, and they can validate and be a critic of your product. So really, UX audit is like a treasure hunt, but it's not in the forest or something. It's among the layers, I would say. So treasure hunt among the Figma layers.
Yeah, exactly. And let me just add to it, like many decision makers at larger banks are quite afraid of these treasures being hunted, because then we might get to something which is a huge obstacle, a huge challenge. And what's quite important about UX audits, that we first and foremost look at really low-hanging fruits, quick fixes, how we can quite easily, almost even without implementation-related resources needed, how we can fix some issues. adding to buttons, somehow changing the colors so that we have better conversion rates and so on. So that's also quite important that these UX audits can quite easily help in this regard as well.
Also, just amazing to hear user feedback on a function, which we thought it's quite simple, but many users are struggling with it. So sometimes it's really an eye-opener activity, which we have together with banks.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in many cases, we are not just analyzing stuff, but we come up with new ideas and new solutions. And a really nice case study of this is the OTP Junior Next application, which was, of course, teamwork. Many Hungarian agencies were working on this mobile application, which is quite successful. We were not delivery partners. We were rather helping with the ideation part and helped with the different concepts. This is a very interesting project because we had to test those concepts with teenagers, and they are the strongest critic when you have a design application or working prototype. And it was just so amazing to see that focus group checking the design and playing around with the functions. And we delivered like 20 different concepts, animated digital concepts, and then the top 5 made it to the live application.
Exactly, and it's really great to kind of test these ultra high fidelity clickable prototypes. You could also call them click dummies, as some companies call these. And yeah, these are, as I mentioned, ultra high fidelity in a sense that you can test these, and also potential customers can respond to these prototypes as if they would be actually responding to a live application. So it's really time saving, it's really cost effective to early on test these, and you just have to be, I would say, brave enough to test these prototypes, but you have to definitely make them lifelike, and that's what we also do at ff.next, and try to also excel at this field.
Yeah, and we can also see a trend, I would say, in youth banking right now, that the young generation is very digitally savvy and critical with these legacy tools. Sometimes even a nice digital value proposition can make them switch banks. So sometimes it's really important to strengthen the positions with them as well. So yeah, it was really an eye-opener and really interesting project. The main strategy was to acquire more customers at the age of 14, 17. It's also a challenge that in many cases, a 14-year-old wants to see different stuff on the UI than in almost adult, a 17-year-old. So it was really like a challenge. But I think this POC helped us as well to be more empathetic with the younger generation, and we had really interesting talks along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we have to kind of solve problems like, I don't have enough money as a teenager, or I want to be a better parent from a parent's perspective because I want to also increase financial consciousness and literacy of my children. And of course, you cannot like really directly contribute to these goals. However, indirectly with such digital solutions, you might be able to solve these. And these are the kind of really deep pain points that you have to also focus on. And of course, delivering UX that's similar to Netflix and the big ones, because younger generations expect such user experience.
Yeah, also, follow up with the next slide. We have many work in the youth banking sphere, but I think this is one of the most exciting one because here we combined physical design, industrial design with digital solutions. And this campaign was targeting the youngest generation, I would say, increasing financial literacy among years old.
Yeah, even 6-year-old youngsters. Yeah, we actually had the task to make money less abstract. In that sense, we also came up with a hardware solution, and it was also quite interesting to see that although you can come up with a piggy bank as a money box, but it wouldn't really work in more, I would say, from a Budapest-based person's perspective, exotic countries. So we've had the chance to work together with a Southeast Asian bank's Kenyan subsidiary, and seeing that actually a piggy is not really working there, that was, I would say, obvious, but then we had to really kind of come up with great and relevant figures. We came up with a rhino, baobab, elephant, and so on, and then the elephant was the one actually winning. We also tested these concepts, of course, and then we also engaged in actually creating the software solution of the piggy bank. So then, of course, the hardware product, which is the toy here, is of course supported by a software solution, and that's running on a touch screen. That's actually an Android application. So that's also sometimes our work to even come up with great hardware concepts, and that's also something that you can sometimes embrace, although the digital space is, of course, all about software. Sometimes definitely hardware is needed to engage with your customers.
And we also brought you 2 videos about the prototype to have a glance how it was done and how is it working. On the left-hand side, you can see the original piggy, and on the right, this is the elephant. So we, I think, made banking into a toy, and it is really amazing to see young customers just playing around with it and check the rewards and some money collection games. So yeah,
it's quite also important to mention that these videos are conceptual videos, so these are not like a live product or anything in the making. I just wanted to show you that how we actually create concepts to kind of come up with a lifelike concepts as well.
Yeah, and just a few ideas on concept testing. So we try to come up with a visual metaphor here that concept testing is like doing a digital feast, I would say. You should show the different flavors to your customers, the different menu items, because that's how you know which ingredient could be the best. So we usually try to combine these nice ingredients for our target customers. And with this method of concept testing, we usually evaluate and refine the final product. And you can do concept testing as a professional or even a business decision maker remotely as well. So sometimes we just send out a survey with a concept, and there are many advanced tools. Users can just play around with a prototype, and they can instantly do a feedback session with you. And then you can have many ideas, many concepts, and you can narrow them down to have the most lucrative ones, I would say. Also, we develop various concepts. So we try to not work on the nuances while sending out concept testing. We usually send very different ideas to the client, and so we gather the feedback. And really the objective here is to refine and the most promising and I would say user-approved concepts should go to development.
Exactly. And I think we can actually get to the upcoming case study that we have here, which is also quite exotic one, I would say. We've had the chance to work together with Collections, which is a Singapore-based debt collection agency. And the challenge was to help them rebrand themselves, also redesign some of their main digital products, interfaces, and also their customer portal. And making a debt collection agency friendly or friendlier is definitely a challenge. That's not really, I would say, per se, a really friendly industry. However, what Collections is doing in Southeast Asia is really amazing. How they help millions of even students, young adults become debt-free. They also have a campaign centered around let's become debt-free. They also have a hashtag for it. And that was quite exciting how we actually started our collaboration together with UX audit, UX research, and then that actually helped us deliver them many amazing products, stuff around their customer portal, branding, etc. And we are still in collaboration with Collections and then helping them come up with also great visuals also currently.
Yeah, the whole branding, the old one, was like you walk into a room expecting a casual and a friendly vibe, and you receive or you meet a formal and strictly business ambience, and that was the problem for customer. That since paying out debt is like not really the favorite part of anyone's day to day. They wanted to have something more friendly, empathetic, and more engaging, I would say. So we also helped with the UX copy. It's usually very important when trying to gain trust in an audience. So we really improved a lot in these segments. And we're also very happy with the new branding and how it turned out. Our client became really like a branding partner of ours, and they provided us with very nice insights from the business perspective. And it's so nice to see the whole company growing and be present in many countries.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as we mentioned you during the Kenyan case study, that we had to test our prototypes. Also, we had the chance to also interview Singaporean youngsters and actually be able to understand their way of even wording to be able to enhance the UX copy of Collections as well, because it's definitely quite important from a UX perspective as well, how you have your wording on your website. And that's also something that UX UI professionals can help you with.
And as you might think, debt collection or banking, applying for a loan, those are transactional stuff, transactional processes, but it shouldn't be transactional. It should be more like an experience. And I think that's how you can win the game of digital when it comes to banking. So that's really important takeaway here. Yeah, so about this rebranding, I'd say the nice metaphor would be here is to imagine it like a digital symphony where there's a UX UI designer orchestrating the changes. So it's really important to, in an orchestra, there are many instrument players, I would say. So technology business are the saxophone players and the pianists here. So it's really a teamwork with the different teams. So yeah, the UX UI work here is just guiding the process and guiding this whole redesign. And they just making an intuitive and user-friendly approach. But the main goal is to creating a seamless and engaging and most importantly, coherent digital journey. And we can do it by themselves, only designers. We need to work together and play on this nice digital instrument, I would say.
Yeah, I really love that metaphor also. That's because we've been brought up in a musician family, so that's why maybe friends came up with that really nice metaphor, but I completely agree on that. And with that, actually, we are getting to a topic which is definitely a I would say, a lot closer to core banking activities like the main and core business. It's related to eKYC, personal loans, and how we actually came up with an own product together with a banking IT player in Hungary, which is an eKYC and e-signature solution called Flint. And we've been integrating it into a incumbent bank's infrastructure and also customizing it. And it was also quite interesting for us, coming mostly from youth banking and the youngsters banking experiences, to really focus on super seamless processes in such a field which is really, really mission critical for banks and banking executives. And that's how we focused on process. We wanted to make lending from KYC up until e-signature, and of course, including loan application, maximum 20 minutes. And I believe that we also reached that goal.
Yeah, for me, the inspiration came from a project where I was designing a loan application process, where I realized that there are so many legacy systems and processes among banks that it's impossible to make it as short as, for instance, Revolut is doing account openings. So the main goal was to try and find backend systems to improve the whole design experience. And we partnered up with a digital solution provider, and we try to make the time frame of know your customer process much smaller, and the whole process a bit lighter. And the end-to-end process became a very fast authentication with your phone's camera and liveness check. So
yeah, exactly. And also when it comes to UX, most people would think that you have to come up with something really beautiful that looks stunning also visually. But here, when it comes to KYC processes, you have to know that the customer is not really into doing a lengthy KYC process. So we had to come up with many automations together with our IT partner, and we had to make sure that the customer doesn't really have to do anything actively. Of course, giving his or her email address, telephone number, and so on. However, not much more, and be able to complete the KYC process super quickly.
Yeah, so this project was really about from the bank branch to the screen. And that's the transformative power of design here, because until the implementation, no development was involved in this process, because we really need to find a way to transform the legacy flows into a streamlined digital process. So we need to conduct many user interviews in bank branches as well, how the current process is working, and we had to be familiar how does it work if I go into a bank branch and try to open up an account, and what are my frictions, what are the problems I face along the way. So that's how we crafted a comprehensive digital journey, and then we implemented it with nice state-of-the-art technologies such as NFC, chip reading, and so on. But really, it was really about the customer authentication process and how could it be secure, but also user-friendly and compliant, matching all the regulatory requirements. And yeah, we were really happy because this solution was live in a Hungarian bank, and then users used it for authentication.
Exactly. And as we are approaching to a part where we are not going to show you any more case studies, but we are going to have some closing remarks on one end on our design methodologies, and also we will be actually getting to a part where design and developer handoff is also going to be highlighted. And just to give you also a bit of a context about our final part, we are also going to talk about AI in design, and that's a super exotic topic, which we are also going to touch upon quite soon. So stay with us definitely. And we wanted to give you some kind of closing remarks on our design methodology with this iceberg metaphor. And it's very stable.
We really see digital transformation and design is that you can see that technology is above the water. It's visible. All the platforms and innovators are working to make it much better. But also there's design, which is sometimes can't be seen, and you're not seeing it enough before thinking about digital transformation. It's really an underlying force to make it extensive, and sometimes design really just can help you clear out your technological vision and all the business aspects, so it can be really transformative and really strategic level when working with the right tribes or teams among banks. And design can make the whole process accessible and inclusive. And Ivan mentioned that we will talk a little bit about AI and how it can help in digital transformation as well. AI really makes the gap for everyone to be involved in the design process narrower. Nowadays, it's really easy to jump in a design project and play around with designers. Of course, senior designers can enhance the toolkit, but for everyone, it's really easy to start designing and start be in the conversation.
Exactly. And with that, we also wanted to give you some even more concise thoughts about design and how design is for us, actually.
Yeah, so we like to unlock the full potential of digital banking, and we are really passionate about this whole topic. And we try and think about design as a strategic, and it should drive innovation. So it shouldn't be just pushing pixels and drawing rectangles. It should be equal partner. So yeah, designers should have a seat in the table because they can really help you cut costs and validate ideas before you send to developers.
Yeah, exactly. And regarding the banking industry, it's really nice to see the kind of openness that's really growing towards design. And there are many, I would say, more legacy industries where you cannot see the same level of openness. So that's really, I would say, kudos to the banking professionals out there. And as Ferry also mentioned, designers should have a seat at the table, meaning design is not really just a supplier, but also kind of a key decision maker, or should be really involved early on in the business processes. So that's also quite an important addition to design's role in banking digital transformation as well.
Yeah, so really just unlock the future together. But before we do this with AI, let's see how a usual designer and developer handoff is working. We also brought you a prototype and a live product, because it's easier to see the handover process for the developers. Usually, if you don't see this whole handoff project, it's like you finish your perfect design and then you hand it off. It really should be an iterative process and a day-to-day between a designer and the developer. So close collaboration is definitely needed. My favorite projects are the ones where I'm a solo designer or I have other design peers, but we are working in a larger agile team where we need to collaborate with developers on a day-to-day because they can help with the feasibility checks. So if we create some really innovative idea, but it's currently not feasible, and they can turn these static designs obviously into tangible outcomes. We use Figma for the development handles. It now has a very powerful developer mode. And sometimes we also get familiar with front-end frameworks. So we wouldn't say that designers should be able to code. It definitely helps a lot, but at least they should be familiar with the HTML, CSS, and how the aspects of coding really works. But the Figma developer mode is really helping us along the way. And we usually not just using Figma for more advanced interactions, but we use other tools like After Effects and Principle, because a prototype is much better than 1,000 words or a huge documentation. So we usually do face-to-face sessions where we show the process, but also the animation as well. Yeah, so let's check it. On the left-hand side, you can see the prototype. One of our designer made this scroll interaction, how the ff.next landing page should work when opening it up. And the development team made it a tangible experience. You can see the nice effects. So yes, it's a bit different, but I would say that the live experience is even turned out to be better than the prototype. And really, this is because the iterative process the guys had. So it's really nice to see your design evolving through development.
Exactly, and as we are a company which is truly design driven, we don't want to compromise on any of the interactions or custom design elements. So that's why we also want to kind of even nudge our designers to come up with these prototypes to really make sure that we have an implemented live product which is just the same as it was designed purposefully.
Yeah, and I also said that let's unlock the future together. So we brought to you some exciting AI topics. The whole AI buzz is really exciting because it can be, of course, your co-pilot. But these AI tools, like said, they will replace us designers. But I see this whole process that many business people can now be part of the design process. And I will show some techniques and tools which you can use as a banking professional in your not just design processes, but also in a digital development process. So yes, AI lacks some foundations. So that's why it's great if you have a design expert in the team, because AI cannot really nail the spacing, color palettes, and also AI don't have the emotional intelligence, gathering feedback and understanding your user needs. But for the delivery part and even for the concept part or ideation part, it's a go-to help for you. So some use cases where AI can help a lot. So for instance, I really just brought you a nice example. This was my first Midjourney photo. Midjourney is a generative AI tool, and I try to see how a nice car would look like in the future. That was my first use case using like generative image tool, but I shortly realized that it's much more than this. I can use it in my design process, and even decision makers can use it in the design process, also for doing a design brief, which is like twisting this whole concept. So for instance, how you could use Midjourney and AI in the process. Let's say that you as a banking professional is working with a marketing agency, trying to give a brief how a certain photo should look like. So maybe it's not really a banking photo, but let's say we want to develop green banking product or a carbon calculator. Nowadays, it's really a common topic. But you cannot really find a Google image or a stock photo how the background should look like. You can tell these tools how the background should look like with prompting it. And it's so nice that you can instantly tell how it should look like. So there's many memes that it's hard with clients because they cannot really do an exact prompt for designers, but also not for the AI. But in my view, it's quite the opposite. So really, this decision maker can play around with such tools and be part of the ideation process. Because usually, when we made mood board exercises, usually we came up with different ideas and brought it to the table. And with this helpful AI tool, now also the CEOs could help us finding the vibe of certain products or campaigns or even UI directions. So that's why it's so helpful. I played around with it and made a nice animation. It can also be used to create a website animation. It was done in 10 minutes. So that's how it's really helpful. Also, I heard a really nice case study from a consulting company that they were working with a bank on how a bank branch should look like. And they just prompted Midjourney and try to find an art direction together with the designers using this tool.
And it's definitely Midjourney as kind of an edit team member on your team as well, and helping you come up with different concepts as well. So really kind of, I wouldn't say bypassing some parts of the process, but really enhancing you and really contributing to a lot faster process.
Also, it's nice in case you have internal or external presentation and you don't have a designer at hand to make you nice visuals. So this is a really long prompt, but so you can see that the longer the prompt, the better the outcome. So without any design help and relying on a professional artist, you can decorate your slides with nice photos. But in case you just need enough design, you can use tools like Durable, Reloom, that is also a nice tool, to come up with a landing page idea. Usually, while working with banks and fintechs, we were working on landing pages and campaigns as well. And usually, while ideating a lot, we needed a week to come up with the first layout ideas on a landing page. And with these tools, the ideation process is much faster, and you can kickstart your whole design process with the designers. So you don't need to do the mood board stuff and the unnecessarily wireframing sometimes. You just jump into these tools and provide value.
Yeah, and I really like the notion of just enough design here as well. Of course, it's not the most beautiful website that you've ever seen. However, that's definitely not the aim of this website. And also adding to that, there are many more like a lot worse websites compared to this particular one. And it's also quite important to use it as a concept, to use it as a backbone for your landing page project, for example. So just enough design definitely has its place in the process.
Yeah. The main notion of design is to fail early, and that's how you fail early to come up with a higher fidelity concept a bit early on or a bit earlier in the process. So of course we are using also ChatGPT every day. It's really helpful in a digital process. Also for providing really nice value in the process. Now we started to use ChatGPT's vision, which can analyze photos as well. Of course, for someone who's working with images a lot, it's really helpful. But also it helps us doing the UX copywriting as well, and then we can make the concepts much more lifelike. And we are not just using Midjourney and the image tools for like presentation, but sometimes for digital product concepts as well, or in case we don't know which style should the branding go. So in this case, we made a concept how the same illustration could look like in a different way. So we try to maximize the capacity of Midjourney here, and we try to find how different can it draw with the permutation prompts. And it's a very nice exercise to do it also with your team while working on a new product. In case you don't know the direction you want to go or the design vibe you're looking for, you can just ask the AI to create you 3D design or a clay design or a flat design, and then you can see the magic. Sometimes designers are taking too much time before showing you high fidelity result, so that's why it's really helpful to use these tools, and you don't need a design degree to jump into Midjourney, that's for sure. Yes, you can also vectorize this illustration, but the most amazing part of it that you can turn your vector into a working prototype. So here, this is my process doing an EV charger concept mobile application with small tweaks in Figma. So I really just redrew a podium here, but I use the same illustration. And I didn't have to take weeks to come up with a nice design concept. It took some hours, and then I created a high fidelity version about this project. I added some lighting in here, and the final outcome was to build a prototype in Figma, where I made also a dark and a light mode. And I felt like I really just scratching the surface with the AI. And really, this AI tool can bring you value in validation, and this is much important to not just come up with a new idea or a new concept. You can analyze your current digital products as well. I only brought you just one tool, which is really powerful. This is a visual attention software. You simply just input your website in here, and it gives you an analysis on how could it be improved to make it more accessible and to convert better. So of course it's important to validate with users, but it's nice that AI can also help us find the critical errors, and also it can create you a report as well, which is truly exciting. So in case you are working on, let's say, a banking website redesign, it's really helpful to ask the AI to analyze your solution and also bring this to the brief. What's the idea of the AI on your product? What's the idea of users on the product? And then you have the whole package, which is truly exciting. So yeah, I would say as a closure, take these aesthetic risks, include designers in the digital transformation process, and let you as a business owner be included in the design process, because it's much more important.
And now we are actually approaching the final slide of our design part of our webinar, and then we will be able to continue with really exciting topics delivered by DashDevs. We are actually just right on time, which is quite great. I also wanted to ask whether we'll be having some sort of really quick Q&A session now, or just shall we take a break right away? Igor is already with us, and we are quite excited about DashDev.
Anyway, I will just pass the mic to Igor. Really thank you for listening. We will be still there in the Q&A session.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I think in this case, it's better to do the Q&A right now, and then we will do a short break for 5 minutes to refresh, and then we can continue with our technology topics. So if you have questions, you can write them down to the chat in Zoom, or you can use the LinkedIn into the event as a comments, and then write your comments there, and we will read out to the guys so they will have ability to answer. So maybe while guys are thinking, what do you think is the most critical for the designing for the other form factors than web and mobiles? Because design nowadays is becoming quite different for different platforms. And if you design for unusual form factors, like it's quite a lot of information if you do the website or you do the mobile applications. If you are trying to come up with ideas on other devices and other types of interactions, what do you think it's good to keep in mind and how you would approach this task?
It's a really great question. Yeah. Thank you, Igor. Would you like to start?
Or would you like to start from the business perspective?
Yeah, it's also quite important, as you mentioned. It's really important to focus on the differences between mobile and web, and then definitely you have to deliver different experiences. But also, of course, many cases you have to also deliver the same functions, but in different packages, I would say. And yeah, it's great that you mentioned Flutter. I think in your question also, Igor, that it's definitely a tool that we, from the design perspective, really love, because you can actually put each and every pixel into the right place quite easily, and it's working wonderfully, really compared to other cross-platform development frameworks. So Flutter is definitely helping a lot to make sure that what's designed is actually going to be implemented.
Yeah, I would say those constraints, those technological constraints usually help and fuel the creativity. So it's easier to instantly know what constraints do I have, what are the platforms my users will use the product. So for instance, while working on a product, it's important to, in case most of the users using a PC with a mouse, then it's important that in case you design it on a Mac with a nice trackpad, to keep accessibility in mind, because users with mouse will look for the scroll bar, let's say. Or when you are a pro iPhone user, you sometimes need to use an Android phone for your designs to check out the different patterns. So of course, because these tools like Flutter and the single code-based solutions, many applications look the same in Android and iOS, but still you need to find different patterns, because, for instance, on an iOS you don't have the back button, and it's working a bit differently like in an Android. So that's why I said it's important to have a day-to-day with the developers. You shouldn't be surprised at the end of the design process. You should be informed in the beginning of the design process.
Exactly. And also when it comes to, for example, banking, you have to know your use cases, and it's not just a kind of breakdown between mobile and web users. You have to know what particular functions people love, for example, using on web, what they love using on mobile. And sometimes you have to really make a different approach, and then have more detailed journeys when you have to, and inform customers where they need to be informed. Of course, I'm a bit generic in this topic, but it's quite important to really make sure that you work for the customer in that sense as well, and then deliver what's needed on each platform, and you don't have to come up with the same solution, definitely.
Okay. Thank you for quite deep answer. I hope it will help our listeners and attendees today. So I don't see any other questions so far. So thank you for your time. and really appreciate your presentation. It will be available to share after today's meeting for everyone who participated in our meeting. So I think it will be good to have the slides after that. So thank you so much, Ivan and Ferenc. It was a pleasure having you today on our webinar. And I think we'll do a short, like a 5 minutes break. So let's come back in 5 minutes back to the webinar. And I will start with the technology panel. I will do a little bit of introduction for the digital transformation in this space. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Igor.
Thank you.
So, hello everyone. We will start the second part of our webinar today, and it will be split into parts. In the first one, I will talk more about the business and how, as a company, we do and we help our clients in digital transformation. And then we will dive deep into the technology questions. And with that, Dennis Trush will help me a little bit. So, a little bit about us. Our company is called DashDevs, and we are a global fintech consultancy and software engineering company. We have around 12 years of experience working in different markets. Initially, we started in 2011, and quite fast we jumped into the fintech space. And we worked quite globally. We help it in different regions in North America, in MENA, and UK. Nowadays, we are focused more on European, UK, United States, and MENA regions. We also have own product, which is called FinTech Core. It's a source-based product, which is helping to launch the digital banks, wallets, payment institutions faster to market. And I think today we will cover a little bit of our experience, how the digital transformation should be taken in account and how you can facilitate and reduce the time to market with this knowledge. A little bit about me. My name is Igor Tomic, and I have around 20 years in software engineering. I started a long time ago when there was no iPhones or even mobile applications in the mass market. And I took a quite long way as engineer. I started as engineer. I had an experience developing and then into the management. And finally, I've established my own company, which is DashDevs. And all this experience that I had as engineer, I've put it into our company and our processes to make sure that we can deliver the best high quality products and services to our clients. And taking that, we worked around 20 different fintech products. It's different sizes, starting from banking as a service platforms and other financial institutions into smaller products, which are facilitating everyday people lives. One of the cases that we have is pretty good that we can share. We have a lot of clients and most of them covered by NDA, but this one is interesting. In 2018, we developed the banking as a service platform from the scratch. And then one of the B2C brand was established on top of this platform. And today I will cover a little bit this case and what we learned from there. As a digital transformation, we're building the digital bank from the scratch. We worked with a lot of different financial institutions in UK, in European Union, names like NatWest, RegBank, etc., etc. But I think today we will focus more on technical topics. So, and with that, Dennis will help me. He has 8 years of engineering experience. And he helped us with a lot of different financial products as a company. We finished more than 45 different fintech projects. We have around 12 years of expertise. We integrated and executed really big bunch of vendors for different platforms, including the web, data analytics, mobiles, and even watches in several of our solutions. And we have own white label solution, FinTech Core. It would not be covered today, but if you would like to know a little bit more about it, you can always reach out on our website and request certain information. One of the cases that we took a lot of experience is Pi1. That's a banking as a service platform. And the challenges for this platform was quite big because it had to combine two licenses in United Kingdom, which is EMI, Electronic Money Institution, and MiFID II. And the first one gives you an ability to issue the cards and open accounts for the customers. You can, and you have a possibility to host the balances for your customers, but also this platform had as one of the aim to give an ability to invest into the bonds and different financial products. And that was an issue because when clients approached us for evaluating third-party platforms, we understood that there is no cookie cutter for their solution. And we come up with a way that we will develop this platform, and then it's white labeled for the other companies around the globe. And one of the pressure that was in this project is to deliver the banking solution completely from the scratch in 9 months. And usually the projects of this size is executed around 2 years because there are quite a lot of moving gears that should be aligned to make the things happen. And in this case, we were responsible not only for the technical execution with the vendors and making sure that the code works, but we had to design the business processes, onboardings, back offices, and also the customer-facing user interface for the mobile applications. During this project, we integrated with the 30 plus different vendors, starting with the simplest process as two-factor authentication, KYC, AML, card issuing, and so on and so forth. And it's quite fascinating how nowadays you can combine different vendors and build really unique processes for your clients. And today, Dennis will talk a little bit about the UI and how you need to make sure that you properly take care about user experience, but also the security of the mobile applications. And the second case that as a company, we think is really good to share with you today is Taraboot Gateway. That's an open banking infrastructure in Bahrain. We had a pleasure to help Taraboot Gateway to do the account aggregation and payment initiation in this region. And we integrated with the commercial banks for this white label solution. And that's a platform that allows third party to build their own products or leverage the APIs for account aggregation and open banking and payment initiation. It's pretty cool. We launched the initial version with the National Bank of Bahrain, and it was really breakthrough in digital experience in Bahrainian market. So what is the modern bank today? And I think it's really a good way to think about the bank starting from business processes, because the digital footprint or the digital experience is always copying your business processes. And if you try to automate or digitalize offline processes, you will get the same process, but in digital way. And what we take care as a company, we are trying to audit and really think how to deliver a digital experience rather than just bringing the existing business to online. And it always starts with the project and services, because offering and how you dealing with the business process inside of those offerings really matters how the product will work in the end. And modern bank is services, branch network, ATM network, and as you can guess, digital banking, because your customers are going to interact with your brand. And as we see today, the typical digital bank is basically lives online. Because even in United Kingdom, 93% of the customers, they're using the online banking. The branches are still exist, but they doing the function of the showrooms rather than everyday usage. So this should be taken in account while you are designing your business processes and your digital products. And digital transformation, I think, is really high priority for the banks, because nowadays, it's quite easy to lose your customers because you don't need to go to the branch. You are not locally tied with your financial institutions, because as you can see, many new fintechs or challenger banks, they come into different regions. And especially here in Hungary, there is a really good example of Revolut expansion because it competes with the existing banks and services. And as we can see, it has quite a big success, and taking this digital experience from other regions, you can quite easily copy to new regions. And I think this poor experience of the customers might cost you customers. And that's important to be with the same level of user experience in your applications, in your services. And also, that's quite important that you're still competing with the customers, because there are quite a lot of new services, new financial products that are competing for new customers. And having this level of usage in applications or platforms that allows you to bring the new customers digitally is really important nowadays. And digital transformation is also helping even leaders to keep up with the pace and make sure that no one can take their place. So what is the shift of the customer's expectations? The really first one is the speed, because if you take offline processes, usually they're not so fast, because sometimes you need to visit the branch, and even if you visit in the branch for dispatching the payments, it was taking days to reach, as let's assume we're talking about the cross-border payments. You had to go to the branch, dispatch the payment, and then it will take days to reach for the final destination. And nowadays, customers taken as a granted really fast turnaround of the money or the balances. And I think the speed is really important to be here and right now with your customer and delivering the best experience. Also, which is important, is wider coverage, because you need to cover different platforms, different form factors to make sure that your customers have an access. It means that you need to have the mobile applications for different kind of devices, starting from Android and latest versions of iOS, including iPads and so on and so forth. Also, the solution should be flexible and making sure that your customer are getting the values that they need. This brings extra level of security, because you exposing a lot of APIs that your mobile applications or platforms are using, which means the digital fingerprint of the company is becoming quite essential, and making sure that they are secured is one of the key to be effective on the market. Customization is also the key, but as I mentioned, innovations are also there. And digital transformation journey is essential, because as I already told, the experience has changed for the customers, because usually you had to go to the branches, meet with the representatives, and then travel back to the branch, do certain business activities, as you can see on the picture. But with the digital, you can do this with the mobile application. So one of the good cases that can cover this topic is usual account opening process. Before mobile applications, we used to go to the branches and bring the documents with you, do the KYC on the ground, and then waiting for the decision of the banks. But nowadays, with applications, you can just download an application, do the online screening with the documents, reading the documents, and even liveness check. But that's not as straightforward as it can be, because there is a good example of N26 failed in United Kingdom, because they took the same way as they do this business functionality in Germany with the liveness check. And I think cultural experience is really important here, because in application in Germany, you are scanning the documents, and the next step is to have the live call with another person, which is doing the liveness check, which is not as usual in United Kingdom. And N26 had dramatically bad experience in United Kingdom, because no one there expected that another human being from the application will do the liveness check. And that's not as straightforward to get those business processes aligned. Even if you do the same experience, like here in this example, talking in the same way as you visit the branch in the mobile application, it will not guarantee you a success. And if you take a look on other competitors on the market, like Monzo, Starling, Revolut, sometimes they do the liveness check, but that's a video which asks you to read certain numbers or do the movements, and then someone is checking, which is not as the same as a digital experience having with another person. So digital transformation is not only about the technology. It's not about the user flow or user experience, but how your business process is designed. And we helping with that a lot. And the parts that we covering, it's process automation, digital experience with the customers. And we're also taking a look on improved security, because it's quite hard. Nowadays, there are quite a lot of cases when the banks are not really doing their job with properly securing the data or properly securing the infrastructure. And we see those cases on the market. You cannot take it as granted, and you need to invest the focus there. And having said that, we see that digital fingerprint allows you to analyze the customers, which is a little bit different from offline experience. By having more data, you can understand and can do more profiling of your customer and deliver more values for them. So today, Dennis will help me a little bit with the introduction to UI, and he will talk about the importance of intuitive UI in fintech applications. So I will pass the word to Dennis, and he will do his part of the presentation. Please enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, Igor, for introduction and great intro. Okay, so I want to talk today about like two parts of mobile development, which are really major. The first is UI, implementation of UI and different guidelines for iOS and Android. And the second part is about security on mobile devices, because it's really important for fintech application as well. So let's start with UI. It's like not some really news that UI is really important for any application. And intuitive UI is specifically important in fintech application. So there are several points which like describe why it's why UI is important. The first of them, it's like trust and confidence. So users should trust fintech application because they provide their financial data, and an intuitive UI like establish credibility for your application and your solution. The second one is efficiency. So user can perform transactions faster and with fewer actions or errors. So you should keep in mind when you make your UI that flow when user want to make some transaction should be as short as possible. The next one is user retention. It means that it should be seamless and easy to understand UI in application, which ensure user return and don't switch to your competitors. The next one is reduction in support queues. It's too important because like clear UI means fewer users will face some issues, and it's like it leads to the fewer support tickets for your support team at all. And the last one is, but not least, like positive brand image, because well-designed applications reflects positively on the brand and like enhance your reputation as brand. So let's talk more deeply about iOS and human interface guidelines in iOS. It's like we have philosophy in iOS that great design is not just about how a product looks, but also how it works. So it's like comparison between UI and UX and how user can interact and achieve results which you want to achieve in your application. So the first point is like clarity. So any text and some UI elements should be eligible at every size. So negative space, color, and fonts emphasize the most important information. Depths, layered visuals and realistic motions bring interactions to life in your application. And transitions between like your screens provide depth by preserving special relationships. If we talk about simplicity, it's like provide you focusing on essential content which you want to provide and functionalities, and you should be ensured that it will be easiest of use, like to not make it complicated for user. And just not use unnecessary elements in your UI. And direct manipulation. It means that engage in user experience through touch gestures. And you should have immediate feedback and interaction with contact, which was created or updated, and provide possibility to user to interact it like immediately with it. So let's look on main elements which provide us possibility to construct our UI. It's like the biggest blocks here in UI. If we talk about iOS, yeah, it's three like major points. There is tab bar, navigation bar, which we can see, and system provided controls. So if we talk about tab bar, it's like it should be located at the bottom, enables quick switching between flows and different sections of the applications, and you can combine icons with some labels. Navigation bar parts which appears at the top, and it's display navigation, control, title, some additional custom views because you can input them here. And the last point is system provided controls. They're usually pre-designed by Apple, yeah, and you can use them. So, and by using some system elements with such customization, because usually Apple provides the possibility to customize some system controls, you can share like experience of use different iOS applications, and user feels like at home when he use system provided or system looking controls or elements. So if we talk about icons and topography, which one of the important part of UI. So as we talk about iOS guidelines, we should have detailed icons. So Apple asks us to use precision crafted icons with depth, texture, and shading. And if we talk about fonts, so the general font of Apple is San Francisco, and it's used in each native application and can be used in each application. So it really good works in iOS application, by the way. And it's like the main font which you can use, but you can use your custom as well too. So if we talk about Android, so Android philosophy is material design. Motto of material design is material is metaphor, a system backed by open design, craft, and code. So we have several points which are described material design in Android. One of them is paper and ink inspiration. What it means? It's like that material design mimics the physical world's textures and layers, but without limited them. So it's like you can use these textures and layers, but we have limitations in physical world. But like we pretty don't have limitations when we create our UI. So the next one is graphic. If we talk about material design, it should be like both intentional and paid attention to visuals that guide user interactions. And the last one is intentional. Intentional, it's about that every element like has a purpose. So it shouldn't be like any random element in your UI. It's like pretty the same what we have in iOS about simplicity, but like with little small differences. So if we talk about main elements which help us to make UI and make some structure and navigation, we have navigation drawer. It's more relates to Android. So sometimes it was used in iOS, but it's not a native approach for iOS. There is like slide out menu, hamburger menu, sometimes it's named too, from the site. The next one is the floating action button. It's like super straightforward Android element. It's like, you know, circular button floating about the UI, and it's used for some primary action. As example, like create new document or create new email message, etc. And elevated components. So it's like components that rise up on interaction or like to signify importance. So you use shadows and layering to elevate your components. So because material design, it's more about like layers, and shadows are really typical like UI solution for material design. So in iOS we have shadows too, but they use not so usual. Let's talk about icon and typography in Android. So in Android, on the head that iOS, we have flat bold icons. So it's like a material design approach. Simplistic yet bold design that provides clarity and instant recognition. That's what it means. And the main font for Android is Robota. So you can see it in each native Android application, Google applications, yeah, by the way, too. So it's really optimized for different screen sizes and resolutions. Let's see comparison based on our case study approach by one or dozens, sometimes name, about difference between elements and design in Android and iOS. So we have like bottom tab bar, which looks pretty the same in iOS and Android. So it helps you to separate some different flows which you want to separate in your application, and looks pretty the same. Functionality pretty the same, but little small difference in UI. So you can see that in material design we have like some shadow, and in iOS it's like a small line which separated bottom bar with your screen. The next one is like a button and controls. Usually in iOS we use like some curved button, yeah, with gradients sometimes, and on another hand in Android they usually flat. So but it's like general approach for iOS guidelines and for material design, but sometimes they are mixing in application, and you will see it in example. If we talk about feedback and motion, about animations, so in iOS it's usually like delicate refined animations which enhance user experience without being overtly noticeable. So it's like in iOS, it's really important to be really smooth. So it's like philosophy of development that your application and animations in your application should be super smooth. And if we talk about Android, like sometimes smooth is not so important in Android. So they more pay attention that any motion and animation should be with some purpose. So if you make animation, it should be some purpose of this animation. Okay, if we talk about different elements and flows, let's see it search. So they have different implementation at all in Android and in iOS. UI elements are differ. So usually in iOS, there is like the same screen with search bar, which couldn't be put in navigation bar. It's a bad approach. And if we talk about Android, it's like usually you navigate to search from some screen, and there is like dedicated screen for search. If we talk about bottom sheets, it's like they looks in the way how we see iOS design and UI and material design for Android. So curved design for iOS and flat design for Android. And like there is pretty the system art, system bottom sheets. The same if we talk about alerts, there is alerts with text fields. And you can see that this design, which in iOS philosophy and in Android philosophy are differ. And in result, we have differ UI. The same as we talk about date pickers. So there is like different how it looks in Android and how it looks in iOS. I mean like system, because usually when we talk about application and we need to provide some proof of concept, or we have like some deadlines or time to development is not so huge, usually is the best practices to use some system elements which provides by iOS or by Android SDKs. And in result, we should keep in mind how they works and how they should look like. The same for switcher. So they're, as you can see, they're not so differ, but like it's more about size and more about how we can customize them, because in Android we can customize them with more possibilities. But as I said previously, like about iOS design and Android design, we can see that confirm button more relates to iOS design, but it's used in Android. And in such case, it looks pretty good. So, and you not see some like interruptions here. So let's talk about security. Security, if we talk about fintech applications, I think it's like the major scene because we work with user-sensitive data and operates with user financial data, and we should pay attention to security to help user avoid any attacks from some not good guys which try to take their information or take their finance. So why security is important? Yeah, it's about trust. So users should trust your application because he provides your application as client and your system, his sensitive data and his financial data. And the same like data sensitivity. So if we talk about fintech, it's usually a sensitive data. Not all data are sensitive, but mostly we should keep eye on this point. Regulatory compliance. So you should be ensured that's like security. It's like not your ethical or your self decision, but it should be like legal requirement, because if we talk about user sensitive data and some leaks, so you can get like some legal problems in the result. That's why internally, when you develop your application, you should keep in mind these like legal requirements about security. And the last is complex threat landscape. It means that when evolving cyber threats, we should stay ahead with robust security, and is crucial point. I want to talk a little bit about mobile client interaction, because it's one of the part where security should be provided. Usually, there is several points which help us to secure our connection. The first one is encryption. So encryption is a major thing here, and when we got HTTPS protocol with implemented in it TLS protocol for transport layer security, our connection with server become more secure and help us to avoid man-in-the-middle attacks. But using HTTPS, it's not like 100% solution to secure your connection, because you should keep in mind that in some way, some hacker can get access to certificate. And in result, there are some improved solution which relates to TLS, as example MTLS, which helps you to more secure your connection from both sides. I wouldn't deep dive in this stuff, but you can take a look later. So authentication and authorization, it's like pretty usual thing. So we should authorize our user. We should use some token-based authentication, DVT tokens or OAuth to authorize our user. We shouldn't have a possibility to provide unauthorized user any access to our to data to our server. So secure IP endpoints. So it's more about ensure that server-side IP validate, sanitize. So it's like you don't have some shared public endpoints which can be used by everyone around the globe. And regularly update and patch. So it's like encryption and like security improving day by day. And the same, on another hand, some hacking methods and attacks, they're improving too. So you should keep updated with some new security issues which can be found in any system, the mobile, by the way, too, like iOS or Android operation systems. If you talk about iOS security, how iOS and Apple helps. So the first one is like code review. It's more about that automatically when you push your application, send your application to Apple review, they inspect the code for malicious or privacy invading elements. So they're checking like with some automation systems that your application is free of some invasions. The second one is like performance check, because sometimes if application like performs not so smooth, and for user, it's like result that there is some problem internally, and maybe someone has access to this application. The next one is like content and policy adherence. So Apple provides guidelines not only for UI, they provide guidelines policies for App Store distribution. And we should support them and ensure that we implement application based on these guidelines, because part of them are related to user privacy and to security. And security and privacy evaluation. So we should be focused on handling potential vulnerabilities. We should focus on correct, right data handling, and take from device permissions only which we need. So how iOS help us to secure some of our data? It's like part about sandboxing. So what it means that each application in a system runs in its isolated space. So isolated execution means that application runs in its sandbox, and you can't like interact all this sandbox without like some additional stuff, which I will talk later. Restricted access. Apps can't access other application data directly. So you have your dedicated sandboxes, and you can't like interact with data of another sandbox. It's like some functionality helps to connect two applications in one shared sandbox, but it's like you should own them too. It's like not possible that you are not owned and you not implemented this feature at all. You can't have some access to another application sandbox. And limited system interactions. So if we talk about iOS here, system level interactions, like interaction with some system features or system functionalities, it's like really controlled by system, controlled by iOS, and it's like reduce exploration risks. So if we talk about data protection API, there is about encryption of user data in iOS system. Encryption by default, it means that iOS encrypt user data by default using the device UID. So as you know, you should log out from your device before you can restore it to the factory settings, because your data will be secured. The second one is multiple protection quests. So API allows developers to set varying data protection levels based on app needs. So as engineers, we can handle a lot of security features and provide it to the application. Access control. APIs enable control over when data is accessible and not accessible. And it should be accessible only when device is unlocked. And seamless integration. So APIs are designed for straightforward adoption, ensuring developers utilize optimal security VCs. So it should be really simply implemented and provide us as engineers API to optimize security in the application. One of the important parts of iOS to handle sensitive data is keychain. Keychain is like security store when you can store some small chunks of data. Usually it's like tokens. Passwords is better approach, so better not save passwords anywhere locally, but sometimes it's needed. So by default, keychain is right place, but with some restrictions too. So there is like versatility. So it's perfect for some sensitive data, tokens, certification information, etc., etc. We can save a lot of different type of data. Access control. There is fine-grained controls which determine what apps or entities can access the stored items. And synchronization across device. So we say cloud. There is like iOS provides securely sync keychain across user Apple devices. The next one is Face ID and Touch ID, so biometry. Face ID, it's like about user facial recognition. Touch ID about user fingerprint recognition, and like secure enclave. It means that biometric data is stored in dedicated encrypted portion of the chip. So like you have chip which responsibility is just encryption. So even it's not like directly connected with chips which are relates to another functionality. And easy and efficient. So it's like a really fast, intuitive, user-friendly approach to use Face ID or Touch ID. Little bit dive about secure enclave. Yeah, it's an interesting point. So there is hardware-based security, so it's not software-based security. So there is really physical separation from the main processor, like you have in your iPhone as example, and a layer of encryption, where like protection layer, protection chip. So key management. It's like security enclave manages cryptographic keys, ensures that not exposed to the rest of the system. And isolation, keep sensitive operations and data away from potential threats, like in our main system. If we talk about Android security, we have like pretty relative real-time malware scanner, and it's like it provides real-time scanning, so it continuously checks devices for harmful applications and activities in your device. So automatic updates help you fortify your device by updating the latest security measures. And data privacy, so it scans without delving into personal data, so just like scan on vulnerabilities, but not scan your personal information. Like in results, so iOS and Apple was the first in this part, but Android makes the same sandboxing. So similar to iOS, each app runs in its isolated space. So it's like they make it in a little bit another way, like each app is assigned a unique user ID, ensure it runs in isolation from other apps, but it pretty the same how it works. So the same as explicit permissions, so that in an Android, you should request some permission to functionality on device, and only user can grant you these permissions. Android key store system, it's pretty the same what we have in iOS as keychain. Here it provides you possibility to generate cryptographic keys within key store itself, and these keys are stored securely and not accessible even to Android system itself. You can write rules like user restrictions, who, how, and when can use these keys. And on some devices, in the same way as on iOS, there is some hardware security. So it's mostly some new devices, especially maybe Samsung, where they separated like place where security chip and like your main processor. And like pretty the same as iOS, we have like biometric prompt API, which provides the possibility to use biometry to spread experience for your application. And safety net, it's interesting tool. So it helps to check device integrity and whether the device is rooted. It's a really interesting case because like, if we talk about security on mobile devices, iOS and Android, in our case, we had investigated how comparators are deal with security. So to do it, we should have like some rooted devices. There is like jailbreak device for iOS and rooted device for Android. And then we figure out that some fintech applications like skip this step to secure their applications, and you have access to their data. Because basically, each thing which I talked previously, especially about keychain, especially about key store, and something other stuff, when you root or jailbreak device, you have access to these elements. and you have access to whole your system. So on jailbreak device, sandboxing is not work. In result, as engineer, you should check if your device is jailbreaked or rooted, and ensure that you not give possibility to user with rooted or jailbreak device to use your application. We have we have models implemented which help us to make it, and we ensure that the user device is not rooted or jailbreaked, so he don't have access to your application. But on another hand, we secured information which we save locally for user. I mean that for key store or for keychain, we are saving information with encryption. So we encrypt information by using some algorithms or by using biometry, by the way, because we can use it too. And there is helps us protect user data from some person which has access to his device, jailbreak it, and try to take information from keychain. Because encryption, especially biometric, because there is some dedicated chip which make it, provide you a really good security approach. So that's all. Thank you for your attention. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer any.
Thank you so much, Denis. I think if you have any questions in Zoom, you can post, or you can post into the LinkedIn event. And I see that Tatiana has actually posted the message. Have you thought about expansion of assistive technology such as voice control for people with visual impairments? And what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a really major thing. It's like we have really time restrictions, but accessibility, it's really important thing for fintech application and some government application, because as they have some rules, and we have a lot of experience with accessibility implementation to provide possibility to use voice over, or it's name in iOS as example, or different sizes for UI, because sometimes you have possibility in system make your UI bigger, your text bigger than usual, than provided by engineers which implemented this application. And we have success experience to implement accessibility. By the way, it's usually accessibility not the first point when someone creates startup or creates some product. But if we talk about guidelines about development and user interface, accessibility, it's really major point. And right now, Apple and Google, so they try to help engineers to simplify accessibility implementation. Because to be honest, previously, it's not so simple thing to provide full accessibility feature for your application, especially when we talk about tables, about some complex UI, etc., etc. But anyway, it's a good point.
Maybe in this case, I can add up a little bit because nowadays mobile platforms, it's not just the visual part. If you take a look how different generations are using the applications, Siri seems to be quite a good tool for younger generations because I see younger people talking to devices much more. And using Siri Intense is a quite powerful way to extend your functionality to other people, including impairments. And we also had this experience using while building Pi 1 platform in dozens, because in this case, you can interact with the voice while you're driving or while your hands are not available for typing on the screen. So yeah, it's a really good one. And it's not just about how you interact with the platform. That's a good question. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, it's like I have another interesting case which not relates to our today webinar about using voiceover. So we have experience with providing functionality to recognize user stream audio. So he records some his thoughts. So it's about like he want to create some invoice. And he just talk about that. And in result, by using our tools and transcription, in result, we have some data which we can show user. So just to use AI and some interesting stuff.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. I think we'll overrun a little bit our timing, but it was really good presentation. Thank you everyone for joining and hope to see you on our next webinars. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good day. Bye.